Hello and welcome to another art lesson with me, Miss Merks. So today we're going to be talking about perspective. So what is perspective? It's how we view or see something from our viewpoint. So in this picture, the trees that are further away from us, the viewer, are smaller. And the trees that are closer to the viewer are bigger. So if you looked outside your house right now, you could see that the trees that are closer to your house look bigger to you, and the ones that are further out in the distance are going to look smaller. That's your perspective. And today we are going to create this 1-point perspective drawing. So before we jump into drawing, we need to discuss how you're going to organize and lay out your guidelines to start drawing. So this line in the center, this horizontal line in the center is called the horizon line in a landscape. So it's where the sky and the ground meet. So if you think about the last time you were at the beach and you looked out in the distance at the water, the sky and the water meet. Usually there are two different shades of blue. Now, that line isn't really there, but our eyes think that it's there. It's very interesting. So early settlers thought that if you sailed your boat all the way to that horizon line, that you would fall off the edge, because they really thought there was edges to the world. So the next thing we need to discuss is this little point in the center. This is called your vanishing point. Vanishing means to disappear. So as we get further and further to the vanishing point, our objects are going to get smaller. So we will be mapping out our drawing just like this first, and then we'll jump into adding objects into our drawing. So for this first part, we're going to need your pencil, a piece of paper, and a ruler. First thing we're going to do is we're going to line up the top left corner to the bottom right corner. And we're going to press down on the ruler with our helper hand. And we're going to draw a line that goes right next to the ruler. And we have our first line. And we're going to draw another diagonal line with the top right and the bottom left. So you should have an X, a big X on your paper. And in the center, you're going to make a dot. You just made your vanishing point. So the final thing we need to do for this part to map out our paper is to take our ruler and put it right up against our vanishing point. It's okay if it's a little crooked. Try and get it as straight as possible. So I'm going to hold my ruler with my helper hand, and I'm going to draw my horizontal line. And now I have my horizon line. So now it's time to add some objects. So in this drawing, we're going to be creating some pine trees that go down the road. And have a road, some mountains, and I put a sun in the center. If you don't want the sun, you don't have to put it in. So the first thing that we're going to draw is actually the center line going down the road. If you notice, it's thicker at the bottom, closer to us, and it gets really skinny when it gets to the vanishing point. So we're basically going to make a really skinny triangle. I'll show you. So I'm going to make myself two little marks for the thickest part. And then I'm going to draw my line all the way to the vanishing point. Kind of at an angle. And then you want them to get really skinny and closer together. Now I'm going to be creating the trees. The trees are going to start closest to us. They're kind of hanging off the page a little bit. So I'm going to start a little bit above my horizon line. So this is going to be the top of my tree, the very tippy top. And what you do is you make a diagonal line and a horizontal line. And then you make another diagonal line. It's a little longer. And then a horizontal line. Diagonal line, a little longer. Horizontal line. Diagonal line. Horizontal line. I'm going to stop here with it. And I'm going to make a little rectangle at the bottom for my trunk. And I'm going to make a horizontal line going this way because our tree is kind of off the page a little bit. And then I'm going to come up here and I'm going to finish the top of my tree. And maybe I'll just add a little line in there for just the top half. Now I'm going to do the same thing over here. I'm going to make a little dot above my horizon line. I'm going to go diagonal, horizontal in, diagonal out, horizontal in, diagonal out, horizontal in, diagonal out, horizontal in, diagonal out, horizontal in. Make my little trunk. And then I'll fill in I'm copying what I drew over here. So maybe this tree has a little bit more showing on the one side. Oh, I don't like that. We're going to get rid of that bottom part. Alrighty, so I'm a little bit better on my right side than my left, but that's okay because trees are trees. So for our next one, we're gonna start our tree, see where we started up here? So we're gonna put our dot a little bit closer to our horizon line. And this time we are going to be making both sides of a triangle and then go horizontal line on the in a little bit. 2 diagonal lines, horizontal lines in, diagonal lines, horizontal in. I'm going to stop my tree here. So over here, I'm going to do the same thing. Diagonal, horizontal, diagonal, horizontal, diagonal, horizontal. I'm going to stop there and make my little trunk. Now, this next one, we're going to start right on the horizon line. So I'll start on the right side. Right on the horizon line. And we're going to make tinier triangles. Now, looks like there's a little bit more room over here than over here. So I might add 2 tiny trees here and 1 over here. So to do that, we're gonna start our little tree, you know, the one that's further away from us. We're gonna start our little trees even further away from the horizon line, below it. So here's this little guy. And I think this furthest one is only going to get 2 little triangles. So that is our trees. So the next part we're going to draw are the mountains. Now the mountains are going to sit right on top of our horizon line. So you still see our horizon line through our trees. So the mountains are all the way in the back of our picture. So they're going to be behind our trees. So you can start with one that goes from the corner. I'm going to make this one kind of spiky. And then the next one I'll make round. And the final one, I'm going to make this one have 2 little spikes. Now over here, I'm gonna make a tiny mountain. And then maybe a taller mountain. Maybe it has 2 little peaks. And maybe that. So we have some erasing to do. We're going to be getting rid of the line in the sky that goes through our mountains. And we'll also get rid of the lines that go and intersect inside of our trees. So I'm going to go ahead and get my eraser and I'll take care of those. So I have some lines to correct because I erased some of my stuff. So if you have the same problem, you just go back and you redraw your lines that you erased a little. It's okay. Pencil erases, you can easily just put things back. Our picture is really shaping up. So I am going to add some clouds. Now I kind of like to draw these cartoony looking clouds. I think they look a lot of fun. So I'm going to, first I'm going to draw myself a little horizontal line. And then I'm going to make a little bump, maybe a big bump, and another bump. And I want another cloud to kind of go over here that kind of covers up this one mountain. So I'm just going to draw right over where I want it because I can erase stuff later. And I'm gonna make this one have a big bump, a small bump, even smaller bump until I get to the edge. And then I can just erase the little mountains because I want the clouds to look like they're going in front of the mountain. Then I want to draw a little cloud that's like right here. Maybe it kind of has a little buddy. And then I want to draw another cloud that's here. Again, I'm going to erase where they intersect with the mountains. So if you want to put a sun, you would start your half circle kind of next to the mountains. There's your sun. So the next part is we have to trace everything with black marker. And then it'll be time to color. So the next part is to trace our outlines. I have a marker here that on one end is skinny and on the other end is even tinier. If you don't have something like this, just a regular Sharpie will work. I'm going to do some thin lines and some thick lines. So I'm going to first start with the road. I'm going to switch to my Sharpie. I'm going to trace my mountains. I'm going to trace the trees with the thinner. So now I'm just gonna erase any pencil marks. There you have it. We're gonna talk about coloring next. So anytime I am going to start coloring, I choose my materials first, my art mediums first. And I also test out what different colors look like. So I have 3 different greens here. I have a light, a medium, and a dark. So I had chosen this color for my light, this color for my medium, and this color for my dark. It's always good to test out your markers and your color pencils before you start coloring. So these two greens, they look slightly different. So this darker one looks like this. And then this lighter one looks like this. It's a little bit lighter and it's a little bit darker. Sometimes the caps don't show the true colors of the marker. So you got to test them out first. So I already tested all of my materials out that I want to use, and they are the correct colors that I would like to use. So I'm going to be doing a combination of markers and color pencils. So I'm going to start with the trees. So the trees that are closer to us are going to be more vibrant green. And then the trees that are further away from us are going to actually be darker green. So I'm going to start with the ones that are further away. So this is my darkest green. This is pine green. And what you're going to do is just color in that little tree back there. And this little tree back here. And I have my brown marker that I'm going to use for the trunk. And I think I'm also going to color this tree the darker color. And using the marker for the trunk. I'm going to take my medium green and I'm going to color in this tree. I'm going to take my lightest green and I'm going to color in these guys that are closest to us. Alright, so I colored in the trees and the grass and the road. The road I did with color pencils and the grass I did with markers. If you wanted to do the opposite, this is what it would look like if you colored the trees with marker and colored the grass with color pencil. The next thing we're going to talk about is the mountains in the back. So I'm making my mountains purple, and I have two shades of purple. Oh, this one looks like black, right? But it reads violet. So I'm going to check. So this one looks like a light violet, and this one, oh, definitely dark purple. So I know that I have the colors that I need. So on this side, I'm going to make the first mountain dark purple. Then I'm going to make the middle mountain the lighter purple. And then you guessed it, the last mountain will be dark purple. All right, now this side, I'm actually going to do the opposite. So this middle one is going to be dark, and then these two sides are going to be light. So I'll do that and I'll get back with you. All right, so I did the mountains in the background. So light, dark, dark, light, dark. Just a little pattern back there. So now I'm going to be coloring with this turquoise blue. Again, I went through my markers and I decided that this is the blue color that I liked for my sky. But you can pick whatever blue that you'd like. So I'm going to color the background. So I left this open because I want to create some sunbursts. And yellow is a very light color. So I'm going to switch over to my yellow. I'm going to color in my sun with the yellow. Could also color yours with orange, but I want you to see what I'm going to do. I'm going to just put some lines for the burst. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab an orange. Let me check. Yep, it's orange. I'm going to add some swirls of orange really lightly on the inside. So the background of the sun is yellow, but then I'm adding some color pencil on top of the marker to create some depth and some difference. And then from here, you can also draw some lines coming out like that. So then you have to go back and carefully color around your lines. If you don't mind that the sunbursts are kind of turning a different color, you don't have to do it this way. You can just color the whole thing and you don't have to do these bursts, but this is definitely a different option for those that would like a little bit of a challenge. And there it is, your completed landscape, 1-point perspective, tree-lined road with mountains. I hope you enjoyed creating your art piece as much as I enjoyed teaching it to you. And please don't forget to take a photograph of your completed artwork and upload it to Google Classroom. Hope to see you on the next one. Bye.